spots are now.
Hello and welcome to a GodIsAGeek.com video preview. My name is Adam Cook and I'm joined here by a first-time debutant on any of these videos actually, Stephen Chambers. How are you, mate? All right?
I'm good, mate. How are you doing, Adam?
I'm all right. We're quite excited because the reason we're here together is because a little while ago now we went off to Capcom and we played a little bit of Monster Hunter Wilds, which people can probably guess if they're watching this video because they'll have seen the footage. The reason you're here is because while I have played them, many of them, and for a long time, I would defer to you as an expert. Now, what we should say is we got to play, what, a couple of hunts?
Yeah, about 40 minutes all told.
Yep. Just jump in, mate. Give us some what you thought, and then I'll get into some specific questions.
The first thing that's really in there is the amount of cinematic and narrative. It's very much followed in World's footsteps in that case. You know, and what we've seen, it's no longer the simplistic style of what we've seen from the older games, and it's even, you know, up and above things like Rise and the World. It's very much story driven from the off.
Well, I think if we didn't know that before, I think the recent sort of revelation is that, like, if you played Worlds and Iceborne, you'll get the bonuses in Wilds. It's very much everyone suspected that this is like Worlds 2 and like,
yeah, this is very much the sequel compared to, you know, what we were expecting with Rise. This is very much the big follow up to World.
And something I'd address straight away is like where Rise was, it looked decent enough, and like when you play it on PS5 or whatever, or on PC, it looks really nice. This straight away, when you like the first time you play it with the weather effects going off and the amount of animations that the monsters themselves have, this is a different beast, I think.
Oh yeah. The environments themselves are a huge step up, even from World. You know, you're going in there, you feel like you have dropped into this environment wholeheartedly. It looks amazing. You know, from weather effects going off left, right, and centre, just to the sheer scale of it all. You know, staring into the distance on the horizon there, just looks unbelievable.
Tell me about the gameplay, because that's, I guess, really, you know, it's all very well. Monster Hunter games, they always have. You'll play a bit of the story, you'll enjoy the story, it will look nice or it won't, it will run well or it won't, and maybe we'll address a bit of that. But
yeah,
the gameplay's the thing that means you're playing for 100 hours, not 10, isn't it? So talk to us about what's different, based on what you've played. Obviously, we don't know, we haven't played the full thing, but from what you have played, because I think there's quite a significant amount already to look at.
I mean, I think it's going to be an underestimate if you're saying hundreds of hours anyway. This is going to be something that people are going to pump thousands of hours into. You know, they're going to lose their lives to this as far as it goes.
That's standard Monster Hunter.
Yeah, exactly that. Get in there, batter things. I mean, yeah, the core from what we've seen is very much an evolution, not a revolution. But that's exactly what I wanted it to be. And I'm sure a lot of people want that to be. You know, we're not looking for a whole new game here. What we want is bigger, better, and getting into hunts with things that blow your mind, and this is exactly going to be that. I mean, from what people may well have seen, you do see things like the packs and the herds of monsters now. You did used to get 1, 2, or 3 in an area as normal, with the odd small monsters about. Now, I think the most we've seen, I think I saw 5 in one area at one given time, with the herd and 2 others coming through, and it's fairly mental to see that. You know, it's absolutely crazy.
The one thing that I mean, like I said, it was a few weeks ago now when we played it. The one thing that's really stuck in my mind is so where, you know, again, people watching it can see how much the visual fidelity's jumped up, how much this is a current generation video game.
Yeah, very much so.
And something that enables is so that in the older games with Monster Hunter, you can damage parts, right? That's not a new thing. I'm not revealing any secrets here, but
nope.
This is a little bit different, Monster Hunter Wilds, because I wasn't quite prepared for how, and I know this is a word oft overused, but visceral. You carve wounds into the monsters, and you can exploit those wounds, and it's fairly graphic, I want to say. I don't know how you feel as a long-term player.
Yeah, it is, definitely. I mean, wounding has always been there. It's been there, you know, for years now, through all various generations. It was quite visual in World. You could see parts as you gave them a good battering.
Not like this, though. Not like this, I don't feel.
No, this is definitely
you'll see an enemy limp off, and you know like they're close, or their icon will appear. But this is another level for me. Like, I was genuinely not expecting that, and I'm really interested in how that's going to be taken.
Yeah, I know when we were playing it at the time, it was a case of, you looked over at me and felt a little bit ill by the looks of it. You're like, I don't know if I feel good about this. You certainly feel a little bit of regret at
I
times.
know they're monsters. It's an imaginary world, but there was just a sort of level of it where I had on the way to, behind the curtain, I had seen someone had hit a deer on the way there, so I was already half vegetarian by the time we got there. But I just wasn't expecting, like, I understand it. It's like it's no different to, when if you shoot shoot a zombie's leg off and all of a sudden they're limping more. It's that level of kind of interactivity, if you will. But then you can. What were they called? Like the special moves where you would then stick your knife into
Where
the
you
blade.
could do it's with the new focus mode, basically.
That's the one, focus mode.
So it will highlight these wounds as far as it makes it a little easier for those beginners out there who are just jumping into this for the first time. So once you have done some damage, you can highlight that damage and then repeatedly batter it, which does feel a little bit exploitative as far as it goes. You're taking this poor, not so defenseless monster and then just keep sticking the knife in the same spot over and over.
It is called Monster Hunter. This is not Pokemon. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is not.
No, it's not Monster Stroker.
No, it's not Monster Stroker. Although that would be a game.
That's a whole different game.
So there's that. I do think, and again, someone who I would defer to. I wonder how you feel about me saying this. I feel that one of the things I've always wanted them to do is to lean. It's Capcom after all. Is to lean a little closer to the Devil May Cry version of Capcom's stable of combat.
More the character action end of things.
Not like fully. I don't need it to be a Devil May Cry game, but just to make that. And over the years, there's no beating around the bush. Even go back as far as Monster Hunter 3. Like from there to now, this game is the modern ones are so much more playable in terms of movement and just general control. And this,
they've lost a bit of that PS2 simplicity it started out with, and
it's not as heavy and tanky. It's
there's a lightness of foot compared.
Yes, and I think that's again. I think there's just a little more. The dial's gone a little bit more in that direction. Like I forget what they're called again, and this is why you're here when you're riding around on your dog.
Oh, the secrets.
Or
secrets.
Right. Secrets. And you can jump off and then you land on them, and it all feels a little more fluid to me. Like it didn't feel like I was fighting the controls. It felt like I wanted to run up to this thing on my secret. I wanted to jump off. I wanted to stab it in the back, and I wanted to be on it mounted. And it felt very, very. It just felt right. It felt like
it's very fluid, and like you're saying with these now, the secrets themselves are an evolution of Palamutes and tail riding from World, and they are so agile, and you can point them in a direction at a monster and just let them do their thing, and you will just fluidly bounce between rocks and hillsides and grasslands, and it will just take you there, and it looks wonderful. They feel like they have their own minds. It doesn't feel so much a video game entity as here is a creature you are out there on, and it's doing its own thing whilst helping you. It's great.
Another thing I noticed as well. Well, I mean, it was this demo that we played. The build was deliberately doing this. Is that you were chasing an enemy, and it ganged up like there was suddenly 3 of them or whatever. It was a pack, and you had to use the dung bomb. Was it dung bomb? I think it was a dung bomb.
You chuck a dung bomb out there, and obviously the one you throw it at will try and get away from the area. So from what we were tasked with hunting an alpha, which is part of that pack, but is obviously the alpha monster of that group.
Yes.
So you would dung bomb it, so it would run away, so you can get it on its own to give it a good old hunting.
So as a long-time fan, talk to me about your impressions. I know it's only a small slice, but tell me how you're feeling.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things that I'd seen in the lead-up that I hadn't been particularly sure about, and one seems like such a minor detail, but it made me do a little wince when I first saw it, and it's Palico voices. For so long, you've got the Palicos in the game. They will help you out there on hunts, and they are doing their thing. And they've suddenly got a voice, and I expected that to be minorly annoying, but it fits in there. It's a choice that I wasn't sure about, but I'll stand by now, having heard it with my own ears. It's great. Other big things to have noted are camps are now on the map itself. So when you are out in the wild, previously you would return back to a hub, grab a quest, get geared up, go out and do your next quest, and rinse and repeat each time. From what we've seen so far, my understanding is now camping is out on a map. You can go out there, you will be doing a hunt, and then you can do another hunt, and another hunt, and another hunt. There's nothing in the way, any kind of barrier to stop you from just keeping on going, which could be a very dangerous thing for many hunters out there, as you're going to lose hours.
I also thought that there was, like, again, it's quality of life stuff. Like, you're riding around on your secret, and you could always just run over stuff and, you know, mash the button. But now you can whip it to you from the distance, and that plays into like his environmental stuff. Which, although the recent trailer they showed like a mountainy thing being brought down upon a monster, and like that's all in here. It just seems like
the hook slinger out there. It's part of that fluidity. You know, if you jumped on one of the secrets, you're moving and tracking monster X. You can just take the hook slinger, ride past something, grab it on the fly. You know, and it's so smooth and seamless. There's the whole idea, I think, of what was previously there of farming in earlier games is definitely being pushed more and more to the side and taking that out of there. So you don't have to sit and grind for hours to get X parts. You can just do it out there naturally when you're on the move.
I suppose the other biggest thing I noticed was the fact you can have loadouts on the fly. Like you can take two weapons out into the field, which you know, so you can have a bow or a gun or whatever, bow gun, whatever they're called, and you can also have a like giant greatsword, and you can switch between them.
Yeah, you can now get the best of both worlds. I'm primarily a hammer player, so I have issues with trying to carve tails and things, which I quite often rely on you guys for. Now I can go out there, hammer in one hand, greatsword in the other. You know, you're getting the best of both worlds.
I feel like that could make for some really interesting builds as well, because you're no longer saying I'm the hammer guy, so I've spec'd towards being this massive tank of a hammer guy. Now you're thinking, well, actually, I'm a hammer guy, but sometimes I like to play on my own, so I want to be able to switch quickly to sort of, like you say, carving a tail off. Or
yeah, definitely, and it's going to make a big difference for people, you know, who'd seen certain weapons as support classes previously. You know, if you're taking a hunting horn out there, you can have a build of that and then something more offensive, and chop and change as you need to support the group you're with. You know, you can do both options now, not have to choose, this is what I'm going to do for this hunt, and stick with it.
Well, look, hopefully, you know, we've shown you some footage. You've seen what we're talking about. Steve's given you some stuff. If you want to know anything about what we've played, by all means, ask in the comments. Stick it down there, and we'll get Steve to have a look at them. And
we can always have a chat, that's for sure.
Yeah, and so thank you very much for Steve for being here.
No problem at all, my dude.
We're going to obviously be covering Monster Hunter Wilds more. This is like our first hands-on, like I say, small demo. There will be more in the future, I'm sure. But thank you for watching. If you've just for some reason been listening instead of watching, that's also fine. But thanks for that. I say in the comments, tell us what you think. You can go to patreon.com/GodAsAGeek to support content like this, and we will see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.